Hello Fluffy Tails, I'm the serious Squirrel and welcome back to the last part of the Arkham Asylum character bios. We will start right in with Thomas and Martha Wayne. Thomas Wayne was a gifted surgeon and heir to Wayne fortune. Dedicated to philanthropy as much as medicine, he and his wife Martha were well known and respected in Gotham. Martha Wayne shared her husband Thomas's charitable nature, was dedicated to her son Bruce's upbringing. She was well regarded in Gotham City's social circles and helped host lavish charity balls at Main Manor. Their tragic murder at the hands of a desperate burglar, Joe Chill, in Gotham's crime alley shook the city to its core and led to years of urban blight. It also inspired their son Bruce to eventually become the Batman. Next up, Aaron Cash. One of the most senior and respected guards at Arkham, Cash is only afraid of one inmate, Killer Croc, who severely wounded Cash once during a riot at the asylum. Cash remains determined, however, to keep the asylum's inmates under control, and to conquer his fears of Croc. Next up, Mr. Sass. A true sociopath, Sass grew up in a life of ease, but nonetheless became a serial killer. Indiscriminate in his prey, body count is the only thing that matters to Sass. He takes pleasure in arranging the corpses of his victims in lifelike poses, before carving a mark for each of his victims into his own body. He's saving a special spot for the Batman. Next up, Poison Ivy. Botanist Pamela Isley was transformed by a science experiment gone wrong into a plant-human hybrid. With chlorophyll flowing through her veins instead of blood, she developed a toxic touch and a pheromone-fueled talent for seduction. Crimes have become more ecologically focused as she has increasingly abandoned her human side, identifying more with the natural world. Her unique brand of eco-terrorism often puts her into conflict with Batman, whose iron will usually protects him from her seductive powers. Next up, Mr. Freeze. Victor Freeze was a brilliant cryogenicist, whose beloved wife Nora was stricken with a fatal degenerative disease. He placed her in suspended animation while obsessively searching for a way to cure her, but the corporation that funded his research, and Nora's life, pulled the plug, triggering an accident that transformed Freeze's body into a cold-blooded form that must always be kept below zero. At normal room temperature, he will die. Wielding a number of freezing weapons, he wears protective armor in his quest to somehow bring back his lovely wife and avenge her fate, which he partly holds the Batman responsible for. Next up, Scarecrow. Taunted and bullied as a youth, Jonathan Crane vowed to overcome his fears through the study of psychology and biochemistry. Kicked out of his university for experimenting on human subjects, Crane then adopted the identity of the Scarecrow and armed himself with a specialized fear-inducing gas that makes a person's deepest phobias become frighteningly real. His ongoing criminal reign of terror makes him one of the Batman's most psychologically dangerous foes. Next up, Scarface. Gotham's Blackgate Penitentiary once had a gallows tree from which 313 criminals with death sentences were hanged. The wood from that tree was whittled by an inmate into the puppet Scarface, and that inmate was murdered by Arnold Wesker, a man who soon fell under Scarface's influence. While most believe that Scarface is simply a tool through which Wesker, as the criminal mastermind the ventriloquist, acts out a dark side to his personality, Wesker himself believes that Scarface is possessed by the souls who died beneath the gallows tree, and the puppet actually motivates him to commit the duo's many crimes. Next up, Hush. Tommy Elliot and Bruce Wayne were childhood friends, and, unknown to Bruce, dark reflections of each other. A childhood sociopath, Elliot tried to kill his parents so he could inherit their fortune. When his plan failed, partly due to the surgical skills of Thomas Wayne, Bruce's father, Elliot blamed Bruce. An incredibly skilled surgeon as an adult, Elliot planned an elaborate revenge scheme on Batman. He disguised himself as the villain Hush his face covered in bandages, but he was, in the end, defeated and unmasked by the Dark Knight. Hush still plots revenge against Batman, generating complicated schemes with surgical precision. Next up, the Mad Hatter. Obsessed from a young age with Lewis Carroll's book Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Jervis Tatch, an expert hypnotist, embraced the delusion that he was the incarnation of a character in the story, the Mad Hatter. Using his skills for mesmerism, the Mad Hatter has committed many crimes, often themed around the book that inspired him and his love of hats and headgear, going so far as to implant his hats with mind-controlled chips to amplify his hypnosis skills. Above all other headwear, however, he covets Batman's distinctive cowl and will stop at nothing to acquire it. Next up, Clayface. Initially an actor in horror films, Carlo went mad when he learned a classic film of his was to be remade with a different actor in the lead role. He took on the mask of the film's villain, Clayface, and killed several of the remake's cast and crew before being stopped by Batman and Robin. Later, Carlo joined the Mud Pack, an alliance of shape-changing, mutated villains who had subsequently used the name Clayface. While that group was defeated, Carlo tricked his allies and injected himself with the essences of several of them, becoming a superhuman imbued with the abilities to change shape, melt others into protoplasm with a touch, and mimic the powers of heroes or villains he copies. Next up, Humpty Dumpty. An obese bald man nicknamed Humpty Dumpty for his egg-like form, Humphrey Dumpler, is obsessed with taking things apart and putting them back together. His crimes at first were minor break-ins, leading to small mechanical items no longer functioning due to Dumpler's inability to adequately reassemble them after taking them apart. But soon, his obsession grew to the point that major disasters occurred in Gotham, and Dumpler's crimes also extended to a gruesome attempt to fix his abusive grandmother by dismembering her and then attempting a Frankenstein-like reassembly. At Arkham, he is a model inmate, his quiet nature and imposing physique inuring him to the madness surrounding him. Next up, Tweedledum and Tweedledee. Cousins with an uncanny resemblance to each other, Deaver and Dumpty Tweed both shared criminal leanings and fixation on Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. Teaming up, they've modeled themselves off the Tweedledum and Tweedledee from that book, planning often outrageous, absurdist schemes to trap the Batman. Fluffy Tales, this concludes the Arkham Asylum character bios. I hope you had fun listening to them. Come back in the Arkham City ones. And as always, I'll leave you with a hearty goodbye. Goodbye.